And welcome back to A Chapter a Day.
Keeps the devil away.
I'm Pastor Pleck, along with Pastor Holland, and we are talking Matthew chapter 19. Let me just give you a quick outline. We'll find some observations, interpret it according to what are some truths about God and people, and then we'll find some application. All right, first we look at Matthew 19, 1 through 12, and God's design for marriage. These Pharisees come up and they kind of want to get under Jesus' skin, but perhaps they're asking some real questions, which I think all of us are asking the same ones. Then Jesus gets into childlike faith and the kingdom. And what we learned is the kingdom belongs to the humble, not the high ranking. So it's kind of this wild experience with the disciples rebuking kids and Jesus rebuking them. Then you've got Matthew 19, 16 through 26, where the idol of riches, and there's a true cost of following Christ. And we have the rich young ruler, who we also see in Luke. He makes his appearance here, and although the conversation is a little different, and most scholars agree it's the same guy, but the conversation is slightly different, it comes to the same conclusion. The guy walks away sad because he is very wealthy. And eternal life, what we learn from that is eternal life requires a heart fully surrendered to Christ. And then from there, we have the kingdom rewards eternal perspective. Peter asks, what about, who then can be saved? What about us? What about us? And what are we going to receive for our sacrifice? And Jesus lays out the kingdom rewards and the sacrifice the kingdom rewards that come from the sacrifice for following Christ. Now, let's jump into some observations. Reading this, what was some observations you saw?
The passage about the children, I've just always loved. He's, the disciples seeing the little kids as, not worthy of Jesus's time or his blessing, or, it doesn't really exactly explain why, but it just says that the disciples rebuked the people. They had something against the kids, and Jesus totally, flips it around, rebukes them, and he's like, I love the kids, bring them here. And this is the second chapter, in a row now where he's given this speaking very positively and honorably of children, which is awesome.
That is awesome.
I love that.
Okay, I see that, and my initial thought is like, is Jesus running a child-centered home here?
I don't think so.
All right. I just, that's the first thought that came to my head. It's like, here are all these adults, and like, don't we teach our children, don't interrupt the adults? And that's exactly what the disciples are doing. It's like, you have to wait here, touch my hand, and then when I let you know I'm done, then I can, but with Jesus, he literally flips it. Is this something we're supposed to model with our kids of like, when I'm talking to an adult, I go, oh, I'm sorry, the children are talking.
So I don't think that's what's happening here. It says the children were brought to him. So these are adults bringing their children.
All right, good. Yeah.
And, so that he might lay his hands on them and pray. It's basically saying, hey, Jesus, we want you to bless our kids.
Yeah.
And the disciples are like, don't waste his time with that. Get him out of here. But Jesus is saying, I want to bless the children.
Right.
I love the children. Let them come to me. And he does it. He lays his hands on the children. So it's not we're going to let the little kids interrupt. But it is we see children as a blessing.
Nice.
And so I think that's important for today's culture as it was back then.
Yeah, I think it's very important. I think I'm seeing also like this is a chapter that addresses marriage, divorce, children, wealth, discipleship.
Yeah,
I feel like
core issues there.
Like that is like your house, and which is ultimately a representation of the kingdom. Like a smaller version of the kingdom is the Greg kingdom or the Pleck and Pull kingdom, and how are we emulating this in our homes? And so there has to be a place where the children are allowed, not only allowed, but encouraged to spend time with the adults, and that the parents are modeling the proper way to interact, fight, restore relationship, and how you model that. And if your kids are angry or frustrated, it might be that's what you're modeling. And so I really love this aspect also that a young man comes up and goes, what must I do to inherit eternal life? Jesus lays out all the rules. He's like, check, check, and check. And then Jesus gives him the ultimate challenge. Do you really believe that you can trust me? And clearly he couldn't. He trusted in his wealth. I really appreciated that.
Yeah, I love what you're saying about the household as well. This is a quote from William Gouge, wrote a work called Of Domestical Duties. It's like hundreds of years
I always thought
old.
his name was William Gage.
You can go with gauge. If you'd
Potato,
like to.
potato. Yeah, I'm with you.
Gouge, but
Gouge.
it's different pronunciations back then. He said, a well-governed family is a little commonwealth, blessed by God to be a nursery for the church and a bulwark for society.
Ooh.
And so there's a lot of theologians throughout history who have said very similar things. There used to be a lot of stuff written on the importance of the household. What you just said there, bringing up marriage, children, wealth, a godly household is going to honor marriage. It's going to bless children and see them as blessings. It's going to put wealth in its proper place. Wealth is important and useful, but it's got to be submitted to God and His kingdom.
Yeah, for sure.
And not, have a place over God and His calling on your life. Then he gets into the discipleship thing, and he says you got to be willing to. You may be called upon to leave houses or brothers or sisters or father or mother or children or lands for my name's sake. So, the household is so important, but it's not more important than God and His kingdom.
Yeah.
And he gives this encouragement that those who, do have to tragically, part from your family of origin or something, maybe they don't believe in Jesus and you become a Christian and they cast you out or something. He says that, anyone who has had to do this will receive 100-fold and will inherit eternal life in the kingdom. And so he gives a great encouragement. So I just love that he's not downplaying the importance of marriage, children, family, wealth, houses. He's saying all these things are important and you should get them right and be good stewards of them. At the same time, your ultimate allegiance is to God and His kingdom.
I love that. That in fact, that gets us into the character of God. God's design is holy and wise, and it starts with the individual, then goes to the home that includes wife, children, spouse, children, and then expands. And then even if you're not called to that, it expands to that because you're doing this for the Lord's sake. Okay. The other thing I saw that you just said, God demands full-hearted allegiance.
Yeah.
Let's just real quickly. I feel like this is where we struggle because our allegiance is always going to follow the money. Is usually where it follows. I want what I want, and I can't leave it because God's calling me to do something else, but I'm afraid I can't do it. There's a fear or a sadness that comes along with the allegiance that Jesus demands.
Yeah, and you have the rich young ruler who can't do it, right? But you also have the disciples who do it. They leave everything behind and follow Jesus.
Oh, I love that. In fact, I just think back to whenever Jesus calls Peter and Andrew and James and John, and they left their boats, or they left everything and followed him. And I thought that was powerful. And maybe the thing that's probably harder for me, and this might be just how thinking about selling something to then give it to the poor, to then follow Jesus. There is no going back. And I think that's the call that Jesus says, there's no going back. All right, what about nature of man?
Yeah, I think you see, back to the family stuff, you see the importance of marriage and children, and that God created us, the first command, be fruitful and multiply, right? That being able to nurture those core relationships, to honor them, to understand God's design for them, right? He's pushing back on ways that in their culture they had seen a corruption in the family, right? So he's giving some teaching on divorce and saying that from the beginning, it's permitted because of hardness of heart, but from the beginning it was not meant to be this way.
Yeah, I see it like man always is trying to justify sin.
Yeah.
You see that with why did Moses give the certificate of divorce? Like, we should be able to leave our wives or whatever for whatever reason. And then the rich or the young ruler guy, the young rich guy, he's like, I've done everything. I've done it all right. And then his heart is revealed. He doesn't believe in who Jesus is. because if he knew who Jesus was, it would be no problem to give up everything. And he is in love with his money, and he wants to justify his life before Jesus.
Yeah.
What about, I think there's a general sort of trust that people have in our own goodness. We think we are much better than we are, which then devalues who Jesus is. In other words, I always say this in marriage counseling, because husband's wife will be like, you don't understand, they are that, and they'll describe something bad. I say, it is true, they are that bad. The problem is, God is that good. And when you sort of like put somebody outside of the range of God's healing or protection, or lift yourself up that God doesn't really need to do much to save you, then you are minimizing what the cross has done, minimizing who Jesus is, and maximizing who you are.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get to some application. What are some things that people can do with this? Maybe the first one is, how about sin to confess? We need to stop resisting God's design in marriage, or loving wealth more than Jesus.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, there's the way when no-fault divorce became, the law of the land, there was a shift in marriages and being able to, even just thinking about it as a temporary contract more than a binding covenant unto death,
Right.
And so, this verse 6, what therefore God has joined together, let not man separate. And so honor your spouse. In terms of just application, really take seriously that covenant and love your spouse, honor God in your marriage, uphold the sanctity of marriage.
It's good.
Yeah.
I think another one for me, a promise to claim. When disciples asked, after the rich man walks away sad, he's like, who then can be saved? And then Jesus says, with God or with man, this is impossible, but with God, all things are possible. And even salvation for the hardest heart. So whether you're a person who is, in love with the world so much you can't grasp jumping in with Jesus, a miracle can happen for you. Or someone that you love or care about, son or daughter, or someone that is far from God, Jesus is the one that saves, not an argument, not anything but his grace. And he saved Paul, he saved me, he can save whoever.
Yeah, another application. Take Jesus's, perspective, his view, his toward children, the way that he loves and embraces children. Let him come to me. He doesn't see them as a hindrance, a distraction, a
frustration.
A frustration, yeah. But he wanted to bless them. He sees them as a blessing and wants to bless them, and that's and I feel like a lot of new parents, a lot of young churches, it's really easy to drift in the mindset of just like, man, I just can't wait to get away from the kids and hang out with my adult friends. And I think all parents understand the need for that, but to not let that turn into just seeing kids as a nuisance, but to receive them as blessings and to bless them.
Thanks so much for that, Holland. And we will see you tomorrow on A Chapter a Day.